Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host, who is across the pond. It's our resident infected of the pod, DL. How are you, mate?
After last night's dinner, I'm feeling like one of those crawlers, those worm-eating and
Just rolling around
and consistently Asian crawlers. It's a bit rude what they were doing there. What were they trying to say?
Wasn't that weird?
Yeah,
I was like, "Is this what is?" Or maybe it was just the same actor every time. I
but
I was like,
no, that's clearly what it was. But still, they made them all look like the Buddha. And then all the alphas were just like Maori fucking gods.
Dude, with the biggest schlongs. We're getting way too far ahead of ourselves. That was just a thing of this movie. I was like, those guys are giant, right? That's not normal. I'm like, most people's, like 3 inches is fine. I'm told. I'm told, right? Yeah. No?
That's what you're told.
How are you, mate? How you doing?
It's
been a minute.
I'm a bit tired right now, but I'll try and wake up. I've got my coffee.
You look like a nappy boy.
Yeah, I don't know about nappy. I think you're the boy that wants to nap. Oh, nappy because of the hair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm slow.
One day, listeners, you'll be able to see our beautiful faces. We're about to start doing videos. As I keep saying, we are going to do it soon. But if you could see this hairstyle right now, it's delicious. I don't know. How do I even explain that? It's the opposite
like
of hat hair.
Prey. I don't know. Yeah, dude.
What have you been up to, man? You've been away on holiday, right?
Yeah, we were in Greece, and we went to a wedding in Athens, and then hit a couple islands, and then what else?
I was there.
We did Albania.
Tell me about Albania. I don't know anything about Albania.
I'd heard it was like kind of like Greece and like cheap, but it was. Parts of it were, but mostly it was just kind of like felt like it was stuck in the early 2000s and then like 90s in like everything,
like
style,
Eurotrip,
music. Yeah,
Scotty doesn't know.
Well, because they just like it wasn't. They didn't have like a country until like the 90s, right? Like it was there was a civil war, and so it's a bit weird. It was a bit like one of those places where you feel like everything should be cheaper than it is. I would probably just stay in Greece next time. To be honest, there's plenty more.
Was it like moderately expensive?
No, it was probably just like more expensive for certain things than it should be. Everything was like cash only, so you had to like pull out cash with like 8-pound like it was just like these things that were clearly meant to grift.
Yeah.
Dinners were a bit cheaper, but like a bit, but not enough.
What about like alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, like it was like €5 cocktails.
That's great. What are you talking about? That's awesome.
Yeah, but not like. Great,
good cocktails,
just like your standard cocktails. I guess my point is like, yes, food and drink was a bit cheaper. Everything else was like more expensive, and they pitched it as like being super cheap. And you're like, okay, but then, I'd rather just pay like a more expensive hotel and be in Greece for like the vibe,
right.
Then
because you
care.
You like the cultural,
like extra,
the ancient stuff, of course.
Yeah, and also just like. I don't know. It's just like it's just a much nicer. Like Kofu was awesome. Like I'm talking a lot of shit. I like enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I'd rather. Have
Must
gone
be nice having
Greek
first world
island.
Problems.
Yeah, I'd rather have gone to another Greek island. Is the net.
Yeah, for sure. So what Greek island did you go to this time? Sorry,
Kofu and Zakynthos.
Corfu.
Yeah, Corfu.
Not Kofu.
Kofu.
Not calling you out and saying one thing wrong. It's going to follow you around the rest of the podcast. Kofu.
Well, good luck. Exciting. Enjoy the rest of the pod because that will happen often. Early and often.
Early and often. Get out of the way early, man. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
We went to Vivid last week. Do you remember? You must remember Vivid. It's like a Sydney staple these days.
Fucking lame, dude.
Dude, it's gotten worse. Like somehow.
Vivid sucks, dude.
Vivid
is this thing that every girlfriend makes every guy go to, and you're just like, why am I here? This is a terrorist hotspot. Like somebody's gonna blow this up one day. There's so many fucking people. And then B, you're just like, okay, it's a light on a wall.
So if anyone,
it's a light on a wall.
Anyone who doesn't know, Vivid in Sydney is a once a year mini festival in winter to get people into the city. So like restaurants don't close down basically, and it's art installations. They're all along the harbour. They're in Central Quay. They're all over the place.
It's not really art. It's lights on walls.
Well, yeah, it's recently been more driving people towards like the ones you got to pay for, which no shit capitalism. But like
actually, there is a couple
that
were cool. There was a couple of cool ones last year.
We did one,
but it's like a 4-hour affair for like 30 seconds of cool.
Oh, that sounds like me. That's my name of my sex tape.
Fucking not worth it.
We went to a good one last year. It was like in an abandoned train station, underground train station, and it was awesome. And it was like house music, and basically, if you were on like some hallucinogenics, you would have had probably the bestest of times. We weren't, but we'd had a couple of drinks, and it was fabulous. Whereas this year we went to regular Vivid, and it felt sparse and a bit boring. I was like, how are you making cool light shows boring, guys? You know,
it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's a tough sell. But yeah, I think you're right. I think everyone's girlfriend wants to go to it, and you kind of just go, I'll go. I seem to remember this being not terrible. And then you go and you go, oh yeah, this is why I don't recommend this every year.
Or you're me, and I'm just like, I don't want to go. Go with your friends. I don't want to go with your friends for like weeks until like finally it's the last Friday, and you're forced to go, and it's Friday, and it's just like 10,000 people, and you're just like, shoot me in the face.
It's the type of thing that like my partner does it all the time. Now. Her friends all go, yeah, let's do it. Then the last minute they all drop out, so I have to do it to fill their places. So that's happened to like a couple of times. We ended up going to a Ministry of Sound 90s like event thing. I mean, it was actually really awesome. It was in this sick old warehouse, so it was a lot of fun. But I remember I was just like, this isn't the first time this happened. Are you sure your friends are actually your friends? Guys, look, if you want to hear us chatting about our weeks, feel free to stick around. We'll do a lot more of this while we're talking about things and stuff, but there will be time codes in the description, normally added in by Mr. Matthew Bliss of mbpod.com. He's not here this week. He is actually coming over my way. He's coming down under for a couple of weeks, so you have to deal with my shitty time codes, but they'll be so you can jump around. You can check out our main topic if you want to. If you didn't get it already, our main topic is we're talking about a film I'm really fucking excited for, which is 28 Years Later. We're going to be talking about that in just a hot minute, but while you're down there, DL, do you think they should give us a 5-star review?
Yes, I think they should. I think
he's finally sold out, baby. He's done it.
I think you clearly need to. And if you
we'd love it if you did, guys. Please.
Shame on you.
Shame on you for being here this long. Nah. Shame. We'll be doing that when we're in Dubrovnik in a couple of weeks. Please do, guys. We'd really like it. Pass the pod as well. If you know someone who'd like this type of thing, we don't know how algorithms work. Get them across it. Get them all on it. We'd love it if you would. DL.
Yes.
What have you been up to?
To be fair, I did a lot of prep for this one. I watched. I don't think I'd ever seen the end to the first 28 Days Later. I realized.
Ooh, really?
I think I'd only gotten like three quarters of the way through.
You know, they've.
So I watched that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more, I think, when we get to the main topic as well. Do you know they had like 2 or 3 different endings they filmed?
Interesting. No, I didn't.
So yeah, if you were lucky enough to have the dubbed, you could watch the different endings, and there were so effectively. I'm giving away all my good material here, DL. But this this was the starting point of a beautiful relationship, obviously between Danny Boyle and writing partner Alex Garland, but Alex Garland wanted a more bleak ending to it. He wanted it to be like really fucking brutal, more brutal than the movie was. So the secondary ending, you know, like a lot of different stuff happens, like the main character dies and stuff. So that's fun. So what did you think of the main one?
It was good.
Enthusiasm.
It was like very indie.
Yeah, it was.
I liked it. I'm trying to think like what I could compare. It's a very interesting zombie movie in that it does all the same things that, like, you know, the humans are the real monsters,
the bad guys.
But it does it in like a weird little kind of indie way sometimes.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was cool. I liked this recent one way more than both of them, to be honest.
We'll talk about it in a hot minute. But I think 28 Days Later it's one of the. For me, it's like a bit of a foundational movie. It's one of the things that got me into the sort of zombie genre more than anything. Like, there's obviously other zombie films I'd watched by that point, but this one was like,
well, it's quite English.
Shit. I mean. So it's so English. It really nails the Britishness, like, isn't it? It's small scale though, and like I think the camera work just really makes it stand out. The first one was filmed on a camcorder, so it was all really like small scale and low.
You can kind of tell.
Yeah, 100%. The quality is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it was filmed on a fucking Android device. The The beginning is super cool.
Oh yeah,
I really like the beginning of that.
Yeah, nice. It's a good. I really like that one. What do you think of? You watched 28 weeks later as well, right?
That's a fucking shit movie. That one's so bad.
I mean, I did say you didn't need to watch it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's dumb. It's a bad movie. It's like mediocre.
The opening scene's good though. Like I like the whole has to choose between his wife and zombies thing. Robert Carlyle, great actor.
Yeah, he did. I didn't like that they brought her back though.
That was dumb. Really dumb. Hey, I tell you, if you ever want to see a really good British movie with that guy Robert Carlyle, who by the way I really like, it's called 51st State. I highly recommend it. It's really good. It's got Samuel L. Jackson, bunch of British actors who are were big around this time frame, that early mid 2000s, the noughties. Really good film. Like it's about, how to even describe it to you? It's got like a Lock, Stock vibe in terms of the low keyness of it, but it's about drugs. It's very interesting. Good film.
Yeah, I'm down. Let me actually add that to my. How do you say it?
51st State. Think about like the US has 50 states. 51st State. Yeah. It's good. It's a good one to check out.
I mean, you're obviously not counting Puerto Rico.
Why would I?
Dude, there's a fair amount of good previews for this movie in the theater. By the way.
Why? What were you?
Some good trailers I saw.
What were you given? I was given like Megan Matugan or whatever it's called. Fucking looked terrible.
What? The robot?
Yeah, the robot kid.
I got that like I got that like 4 months ago. You still have that?
Man, so bad. So bad. I was literally sitting there like, this looks awful. Yeah. What did you get?
I got I cannot find this movie, by the way, on IMDb. Oh, there it is. No, that's Formula 51.
No, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you later.
Oh, it's actually Formula 51. The 51st State is the original title. They changed it.
Oh, they changed it. That's interesting.
I got Superman. I got Fantastic Four. I got some other one that's like A24. I forget. I got a lot of good ones. A lot of good little trailers.
That's so interesting. Mine was we'll talk about it in a minute, but I actually treated myself to a little gold class showing. Anyone who doesn't know gold class in Australia is like the quotation marks, the highbrow one, where you're sitting a smaller cinema, but you get these giant seats and you can have food brought to you and shit. I actually don't really like it as much, but we just got like pure horror movie trailers beforehand. Everything was like a horror movie.
Yeah, I don't think I even had any horrors, which is odd.
I had all horror, man. I think this was a better horror than all three of them looked. But would you recommend going back and checking out the 28 Days and or Months films?
The first, the second, I would skip. You know what I did like about the second?
That was good.
I'll give you this.
Go on.
I liked when Jeremy Renner died.
Oh, I forgot he was in it. God,
yeah. I liked when he died because I don't like him. No, that's not why. No, I like it's because I actually I'm so used to seeing him as like this guy that just is unbeatable in every fucking movies and he just gets torched.
Even when he's got a bow and arrow. Yeah, okay, interesting.
He just gets fucking torched, like burned alive, this like kind of randomly in front of all the people and the children. And I was like, yeah, fuck you, Jeremy Renner.
From memory, the second one's got some pretty big actors in it. No, hasn't it got like a?
That's like part of why I didn't like it. It was such a tonally different. Yeah. It had.
Yeah.
And the kid fucking sucks. A kid actor.
So annoying.
Yeah.
Oh well, kid actor in the new one, pretty good.
No, I'm saying a bad kid actor.
Sorry, yeah, terrible.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know my feelings on those.
Yeah, he actually isn't that bad. His haircut is so annoying, and he's just like sitting there, it's fucking dumb. But the sister's very very good looking. I wonder why she hasn't been in anything else. Let me actually look her up.
There was I saw a trivia that she apparently wanted to come back for this movie, but just didn't work out, which is unfortunate.
To be fair, she's one of those girls in like random things. Like I've seen her in random shit. IMDb 28 days. What are they going to do next? Like 28 days later?
I mean, maybe.
28 days later from the 28 years after?
28 days.
It's getting a bit fucking ridiculous.
It's getting thin on 28 decades later, maybe?
No, because I think they're clearly gonna. Yeah, we'll see. We can't talk about it yet, but
I'll tell you something that I watched actually that I think you'd really like. Have you seen Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit?
I think I actually did. What is that movie about?
So it is. Oh man, I've been meaning to watch this for a long time. It's about a kid who his imaginary friend is Adolf Hitler, and it's sort of set in World War II. And the mother is Scarlett Johansson, who is excellent in it as always, and she is actually harboring a Jew in the house, and it is so interesting. It's about this kid like realizing that all the propaganda is nonsense, and he's basically living as, I don't know, he's sort of living this lie of that Nazism is the best, and it's sort of like in a crumbling Germany. It's what Taika Waititi is good at. It's small scale. It's about like real human connection and emotions. I'm like, this is what you should be doing, Taika. It is so good, man. Like, highly recommend. And Taika Waititi himself plays Hitler, which is fucking hilarious.
Isn't he like really tan?
Yeah. I think he must have lived in Iceland for like 6 months before the role.
Oh my god. Taika Waititi is just like just a funny dude, isn't he? Just a really funny dude.
He's just like
ball.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. I work for a big tech company, and he did one of our like sales kickoffy type things.
Really? That's a get. A random one, though.
He did like a bunch of interviews for and stuff, and like the interviews.
Oh, so he was remote.
He could not sit still. It was literally like every shot of him, he was sat differently on the chair. It was so random. It was class. By the way, you should check out Jojo Rabbit. I think you would really like it. It's really dark though, like super dark humor, and the ending's a little brutal.
I still want to see. What's that? What's his name's? God, I can't. Jake Gyllenhaal's like first fucking movie that got him big.
Oh, Donnie Darko.
I've never seen
that either.
It's like neither. I want to see that Jojo Rabbit.
Everyone talks about it. Apparently, it's
quite dark as well.
Yeah. But apparently, it's really confusing, which could not be a good thing.
That's like part of what I.
Dude, have you got anything else you've been up to? What else have you been doing?
I got a little bit of. What did I play? What is that? Alan Wake 2.
You finally got it.
Yeah, I've had it, but I played it. It's cool so far. I've actually only had. It's a long intro, which very cinematic.
Really?
Which I like these kind of games. But I finally got to like the point where I actually get to shoot something. I shot one thing, chapter ended, and Gail's like, "Okay, we gotta go." I'm like, "Fuck."
Oh my god!
I just got to the good part.
I just started playing.
Yeah, so I'll probably play that tonight.
Nice. Because that game got like Game of the Year nods, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Speaking of Game of the Year, I'm almost finished with a game called Claire Obscure. Everyone is banging on about it as like this year's Game of the Year. It's super throwbacky. It's like, I don't know, I used to love turn-based RPGs as a kid. I know that's not for everyone. In fact, it's probably not for most people. But I used to play a ton of them. And this one was excellent. Like, it had like Charlie Cox as one of the voice actors. It was phenomenal. Like this tiny little 33 people studio or whatever it was. Yeah, super good. I don't know. Did you ever play turn-based RPGs growing up, like Final Fantasy or whatever?
No. All my friends did. But I was more like a FPS or like proper RPG. I'm trying to think what the first RPG I played was. It might have been like, I forget which one came first, but either Fable or Elder Scrolls.
Really? Yeah.
Oblivion, and they just dropped a remake, like out of nowhere.
I was looking at that the other day. Actually.
I was debating playing that, but I was like, I just don't have the time.
It would suck your life away, man. It'd be just gone. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't ask you if you'd recommend Alan Wake, but could you recommend Oblivion?
Dude, Oblivion was like, it was an interesting game. It's hard for me to say because it's been so long, but it was the first game that exposed me to that kind of type of game. So I was like all in. And I just remember it being really fun, good stories, quite goofy at times, like kind of buggy, but like in a cool way. But I didn't know that it was buggy because I was like, it was such a expansive game. I was like, this is crazy. I didn't even care about the bugs,
Yeah.
And also the Oblivion story is just super cool. But
okay.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it if you had never played it. But if you're like, it's hard because it's like you might have like modern expectations for a game that like.
Definitely.
I anticipate if you like RPGs, you'd like it. I anticipate.
Okay. I wonder how closely the remake sticks to the original source, you know, like whether the gameplay is exactly the same and stuff. It does kind of look exactly the same.
They made some minor edits that are like apparently really impactful.
Okay.
Like there was no sprint.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah.
How do people play that game?
I don't know. Well, they added it, but.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And a jump button, hopefully.
There's always a jump button because you could basically max out your like agility and sneak and become like a vampire essentially. You could just like jump from you could just jump super high and from like building to building. And so like there's this meme that's like every time I try and play Oblivion, I like try and do a different build, but I end up in sneaky assassin archer. And it's just like it's like the most powerful build because you could just like jump from cliff to cliff, just like shoot an arrow.
People
and
can't
like
see you.
You hit people and they just fly like 30 feet because your arrow is just so powerful. So it's like it's goofy in that way. You know what I mean? Like there's just like cool weird shit you can do because it's like you can kind of break the builds. Anyway,
you've sold me. I'm gonna go play it right now.
Yeah, it's good.
I actually, funnily enough, I started because previously I've told you this, but I obviously played the hell out of Elden Ring. I beat Bloodborne recently, and I thought, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll go back to the beginning and play Dark Souls. Not technically the beginning. I appreciate that, man. I was playing it for like an hour, and I was like, fuck this, man. It is just horrible. People say like get good and all this, but it's just not fun. Like I was in the first proper area, and it was just horrific. I was like, I either need like a solid 6 weeks to really throw myself at this, or I'm just never gonna. I don't have the energy for this. It's hard. Actually, I got one more thing I was going to tell you about before we crack on. A movie I'm going to tell you, please God, do not watch.
Okay.
There's a new movie. I think it's on Netflix. I thought it was on Netflix. Could have been Prime. I can't remember which way around. It's called Alto Knights. Knights with a K. 1950s. It's about a notorious New York crime boss and his best mate, effectively, who sort of like one's chill and one's hard, and they vie for control of the streets of New York. And it's
nice.
It's a Robert De Niro joint, and I have to tell you, I have really fallen out of love with Robert De Niro. It was just fucking boring by the end of it. By the end, I was just like, oh, why are we still watching this shit? And it was just a bunch of old men.
I think we're out on Robert De Niro.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I think a few weeks ago I said I'm out, and I think we're both out.
Okay, good.
I think we're out on.
I don't mind early De Niro. I'll go back and watch early De Niro.
Shit,
but now,
like I'm saying, like everything he's released in the last, like there's not. I can't tell you something. You know what I can? The last good movie he made that I watched was Silver Linings Playbook.
Oh, okay, all right.
He's good in that.
I still haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen it. I just see De Niro now, and I don't feel like even when he's acting or putting on an accent or whatever, I'm like, you're just Robert De Niro. Like you're not. It's a dull fucking movie. I don't check it out, man. It's a waste of 2 hours. It just kills time. Guys, if there's anything you recommend we go away and watch, please send us memes, send us news, send us reviews. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. All the usual places. We've still got a website. You can still go to www.podcastassemble.com. Get all our details. Find things. Send us stuff. We love it when you do. DL, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
It's the main topic theme.
Yeah, this week we're doing 28 Years Later, which is the Danny Boyle. Is Alex Garland the writer? Have they teamed up again?
Yeah, he is.
Okay,
yeah.
So there you go. They're back together. Back, little tour de France.
Well, I found a really interesting bit of trivia about those two specifically from this movie. So we talked about on our episode 91 a film called Sunshine, which I bloody loved. I think you liked it as well. It was very super interesting, went a bit sci-fi at the end. And apparently they fell out about that movie because Alex Garland wanted more of like an ambiguous ending to it. He wanted it to be more like open-ended, where Danny Boyle wanted it to be almost like a hackathon. That's not words. He wanted it to turn into like a bit more horror at the end of the film.
Which
like,
did,
and yeah, they fell out and they haven't worked together since until now.
Wait, so who wanted what? Yeah, I misheard that.
Danny Boyle, he wanted more of a thriller horror ending to the film, and Garland wanted more of an ambiguous ending.
Yeah,
you can see that in like Ex Machina and stuff like that. Like
Garland's clearly the better writer.
Totally.
Like, I mean, but, like that is like the main complaint I have with that film.
Right.
It did go a bit. It devolves
off the deep end.
It goes from this like really thought-provoking thing to like this devolved fucking shithole. But like,
I liked the ending of it. I liked it.
Dude, no, you don't. It turns into some like radioactive monster. I don't think
you call it a shithole. Pretty much, yeah. It takes a different route. But do you have a stupid plot summary for 28
I think
years
we have
later?
Receipts on this, and you didn't like it when we watched it.
Yeah, we'll go back.
Pull back the receipts. No, you didn't like the ending. We all liked the film.
How about this? I'll do the receipt for you right now. I loved it. It was great. One of my favorite movies ever. There you go. That's it. That's pulling back from the from the archives.
Yeah, but anyway,
I turned into a 1930s guy. Yeah. Do you have a stupid plot summary?
I do. Isn't Garland doing a Elden Ring movie, or is that
Alex Garland? I think that's someone else. It
Who
might
is
be.
it?
If it is, that would be sick. I can't remember who it is. If it's Alex Garland, I watched the thing.
Elden Ring movie. Do you think that their Elden Ring has a movie in it? Yeah, it is Alex Garland.
It's there. Yeah, well, he's played that game like 8 or 9 times. And if that is him, I remember. I just seen an interview with him recently. There is so much in that game. There is so much
to make a movie.
Lore. Look, you can make. There is so much you could make into a movie. You just have to pick the right thing and stick to it, because you could get distracted so fucking easily.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah. Okay.
Give me that plot summary.
Okay.
Make it stupid.
Aaron Taylor's Johnson.
He does.
Puts on his best wife beater in this oddly thought-provoking critique on both modern society and geopolitics.
I don't know if you can call it oddly thought-provoking based on the director and the writer. I feel like they're always going to go that direction. But
it is oddly thought-provoking. I thought it was going to be a zombie movie, especially following that last shitter. I thought it was going to be just a zombie movie.
He didn't direct that. Yeah.
And they made, I know, but it's still oddly thought-provoking. Like, there was no, like, there wasn't much, I don't think there was as much, like, modern society stuff in the first one as much as, like, I guess because it was so early, it was kind of leaned in. It wasn't as tropey yet, the, like, whole humans are the real monsters trope for this kind of movie. It was probably before.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Did you watch 28 Days Later? Because that is literally the key theme of that film.
Why do you say that? I think the key theme is like
the ending of the film when they go to the mansion.
Humans are the real monsters is the theme, not like geopolitical critique.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about humans.
No.
That is like the key.
Oddly thought-provoking on like modern like geopolitical.
Sure.
And like social trends, like where they make that joke about the fucking shellfish, and where France, they keep alluding to like French and English wars like randomly.
Love that.
I think that's what they were doing. Anyway,
I mean, call me. Mine takes a little different route. It's just I'm not sure how they got here from the 2000 Sandra Bullock starring rom-com 28 Days. But I dig it, man. I'm happy they killed off Sandra Bullock. Good for them.
Where's her zombie equivalent? What the fuck, dude? I was expecting a Cillian Murphy. Is that a spoiler?
Cameo?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think by now most people know he's not in there.
What the fuck?
He was apparently open to coming back for this. We'll talk about it a little bit in spoilers, perhaps. But this has Alfie Williams as Spike, who you may know as one of the main characters from his Dark Materials, the HBO version. Aaron Taylor's Johnson, who you just mentioned, who's Jamie, Spike's dad. Jodie Comer, who is in this, who you know as being Miss Bike Riders, which we talked about on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love her in that, but I thought she was fantastic in this. And Ralph Fiennes was in this as well, who was Voldemort in disguise, to be quite perfectly honest with you. But I got a question up top. Like you talked about rewatching
Voldemort in disguise.
Yeah, he was just a quiet Voldemort. You talked about rewatching this recently, but like, do you remember when you watched the originals? Do you remember? Did you watch them when you were younger?
I saw it on like HBO or something, and I remember like getting like halfway through and falling asleep or something.
God damn, I could not fall asleep in 28 Days Later. That's like I say, that's one of my OGs. I remember having that shit on DVD, and I just plowed the shit out of it. 2000s, I was probably like 15. I was probably maybe a bit too young for something quite as graphic as this. And I just remember it being just epic. Absolutely epic. what's the premise of this film then? Like, what did you take away as like the high level overview?
Like you mean like theme wise or just like the plot?
Talk to me about the plot, DL. Tell me about the plot.
I mean, it's just they basically like pulled the scope back from like because in the last movie they kind of indicate that the virus has gone to like Europe mainland, and
they did call it out pretty early doors, didn't they?
And then they like kind of fixed that and said actually they pushed it back, which I think was a smart move. And
I think so too.
You're basically seeing like a town in the quarantined British mainland that has found a way to like live in this kind of what do you call it, like a dystopian world where zombies exist. And they've found a way to do it by like having a little island that's like pretty far away from the mainland that, you know, in high tide the path goes away, so the zombies it's harder to get there. Very small, almost like not quite medieval, but they're pretty far back in like what they have. They've got beer, they've got wheat, they've got eggs, they've got farmland, but they don't have doctors anymore. They don't have, you know, a lot of the stuff that you would anticipate. And the whole rest of the world is still going on around them, meaning like,
yes,
the rest of the world has just decided, fuck Britain, quarantine them, and decided we're not going to even try. Sorry, guys. Which I'm not going to lie, I love it, but it was the hardest thing for me to accept as a premise.
I feel like if it's that ravaged, you probably would just go like, yeah, right, fuck it. What can we do at this point? Unless you just nuked it, I suppose. But like, why would you go?
I don't think they would nuke it. I just think they'd try and like get people out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, you never know if they're infected or whatever. But like, so the film follows Spike, who is a young. I think they said he was a 12-year-old, right? He's a young 12-year-old boy who is learning the ropes of effectively living the life in this world, and visiting the mainland for the first time with his dad, Aaron Taylor's Johnson, and it's kind of a coming of age movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, good point.
From my perspective, right, this is like the perfect legacy sequel. We talk about like rebootuations and such all the time. I'm annoyed that Hollywood's coined legacy sequel because rebootuation is way better. But it takes all of the mythology of those original films and sort of leans into that rather than necessarily like throwing nostalgia and characters at you, and it grows the world in interesting ways. And I feel like it really sticks to the core principles. Like I came out of this being like, you know, the Scorsese meme where it's like absolute cinema. You know what I mean? Like it was just, to me, this is what a legacy sequel should be.
I agree. I think you also get like a pretty cool, like, I guess, homage to like past conflicts in Europe. Like there's just a lot going on quite early. So it's not just like your standard coming of age. They're also doing all sorts of kind of call outs to, and dude, I got like vibes of like what's that Vietnam movie? I think we actually did it for the pod, didn't we?
Yeah.
Apocalypse Now. I got like Apocalypse Now vibes from certain parts of this movie, which were like really unexpected and pretty awesome.
Ralph Fiennes painting himself in weird colors. Yeah, I can see that.
And just like the existentialness of it all, like for the back half, like, which is why the ending is so triggering, because you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like,
100%. And we're gonna, look, I was on board with all that, and I got like, you know, Stand By Me vibes as well, like coming of age stuff. Like there's so many like layers to this film, and I think it does a really nice job of straddling a line between like the human dramas that are happening in it, just really personal stories, and it being a horror movie. And I just feel like Danny Boyle, specifically as a director, but not only, you know, like I feel like the writing by Alex Garland as well just is like the perfect sort of exploration of those human stories in this horrific environment. It's so interestingly done.
Yeah, it is. And I guess like something about it, you know, even though there's so many moments where I'm just like, God, don't do that. You know, because it's like always that way in a horror movie. They do make it like a little bit more believable. Like when he's like falling asleep with his like, you know, mom, they're both asleep, and you're just like, dude, You just can't.
Well,
you just can't.
I think that's how they get you. I think that's how they get you. And like, for a lot of times when you watch horror movies, you're like an adult, a regular human.
Because he's a kid, it's a little bit more believable. Yes.
Right. You can believe
who also hasn't been exposed. Yeah. Like to everything.
Right. To a lot of the stuff in this. And I think
it does get away with that. Yeah.
And it works really well for this. I think the big thing that really works for me in this is Danny Boyle's take on horror. And it leans into all those things you were just saying about like he is a kid and like even if you'd been on the mainland 1,000 times and you'd seen the fat, the slow ones that sort of creep towards you and are all sticky, even if you've seen them 1,000 times, that shit's still scary. And to a kid, it's like even more heightened. Like he is gonna have the worst fucking time with all this stuff going on. Yeah. I guess the main thing about the plot driving the main driver of the plot really is the family dynamic of Aaron Taylor Johnson, Spike, and is it Ilsa? Is it Ilsa? Is that
I don't
name?
remember her name. Yeah, it is Isla. It is Isla.
Isla, yeah, who is the key family, and Isla has some problem that is ill-defined at the beginning of the film, and sort of Aaron Taylor Johnson is this jade. Well, I mean,
you're right. It's ill-defined, but I was like, she's got cancer.
yeah. Well, I mean, to us, you'd be able to tell, right? But in that sort of scenario, perhaps they wouldn't know. And it's this jaded dude who is just like kind of over his home life. And did you once you found that out about what was the problem with her and stuff? Did that kind of recontextualize some of his stuff, like taking his kid to the mainland when he's probably too young and just trying to like just have a bit more excitement in his life?
He's clearly in like midlife crisis mode. He was also just like a lad before this all went down, or like on the verge. I guess it's 28 years, so maybe not.
Yeah,
he's
maybe
pretty young. He would have been a ruffigan. Let's add it. Let's put him at like 45. He would have been one of those dudes at the pub at 16, having a time. Probably feels like the best of his years took away from him,
Probably did. And then he had a wife who had serious problems. And for me, the movie, and like, tell me what you think, but I feel like it sort of is kind of almost split in two parts. You have like with Aaron Taylor Johnson and without him, almost. Like the first half of the film is about this bonding between him and his son, and the second half is about his son going off and becoming his own thing.
And the bonding with the mother. I feel like I kept waiting for him to come back, but he didn't. I wonder if that was like a conscious
Aaron?
choice. Yeah. I was waiting for his Johnson to reemerge, but
it was in Taylor.
Yeah. No, I honestly was. I was thinking he would come back and like there'd be because that would have been the like traditional formula driven movie thing to do. Completely. And it also wouldn't have been bad. It wouldn't have been bad, but it wouldn't have been great. Like I think this is a great movie because they didn't do that.
100% agree. Yeah. 100% agree. And I like that they didn't fall into too many tropes. Well, I mean, like, how would he have even found them? He doesn't exactly have fucking GPS or a mobile phone.
Well, I mean, like, he would have, like, I thought they were going to do a whole, like, he knew where he was heading. He was heading to those fires. Like, that's actually believable. It's believable enough that you could see it, but it's like, what does that contribute to the movie? Right. We already know where this guy.
The arc of those characters.
We already know where this guy's at, right? Like, we know, we learned a lot about him, and frankly, like, how he responds to Spike eventually, doing his own thing will be actually more interesting if they bring it back later than bringing it back in this movie. And I think this is the kind of stuff where it's like when I say like, you look at Marvel or whatever, and I'm like, this is just, I know where it's going. Like 100%. This movie, I could not tell you where it was going. I do think it kept fucking pivoting in great ways that were interesting.
And I think a lot of that is not only down to the fantastic writing, but the direction as well. I think the direction of this and how, like a lot of this was filmed with iPhones. So, and one of the things that it did very early on was it would cut between like weird old footage of like soldiers or like people shooting bows and arrows, and then footage of like the infected and sort of what they were up to in the middle of the night just with red eyes. I feel like that direction and that sort of regular tonal shifts within the movie, or even just throwing you off guard by throwing one of those scenes in, kept you on your toes, and it kept you, almost confused to a point whereby you were like, it's throwing a lot of the tropes out the window, and I was really happy it did, personally.
Yeah. Me too, man. And I think more people need to be okay with kind of making those choices. I have a question for you.
Definitely. Yes.
Do you think by the end, like the alphas were almost meant to be comical versions of themselves?
So for context, the alphas and actually that's the next point I was going to talk about actually. So I think the world building this is really interesting. So this world has evolved since we last obviously saw it in 20.
Really great choice.
Let's say 28 days later. I think 28 days later this is more of a sequel to that than 28 years later.
Well, I mean, either 28 weeks is not that long. You can't evolve in that fast. So.
Right. So this is and you have different subgroups evolving within the infected. So you have alphas, and we talked about the slow ones, and there's other things that we'll talk about probably more in spoilers. But the alphas I found really interesting. I fucking really like that idea, and the fact that some of these infected were becoming intelligent was really good. You're probably right. I think what probably happened was they needed a big bad for the film. They needed something to be scared of because they've obviously mastered killing the regular zombie type infected. So you need to up the ante a little bit. And that's the easy way to do it in zombie films, right? You have one subspecies, subgenre that's, a bit stronger, a bit faster, and a bit scarier. But then like how do you then curb that? Like if you can only kill them certain ways, how do you curb that? And it's you have to find interesting ways, and this may have done it in a way that was kind of comical almost.
Well, I guess what's driving my question is like they were scary at the beginning, and then I feel like intentionally they became a parody of themselves. Like it wasn't like it was an accident. I feel like he wrote it almost in to be kind of funny and making fun of itself by the end, like how crazy and absurd it was. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but like I definitely did. Like
I don't know if I found it like funny, but I know how
by the end he was like, "Wow, I wasn't even scared anymore." I was just like, "This is like," because they had just done like the morphine thing. There's a bunch of reasons why. I don't know. Something about it seemed like intentionally goofy by the end. Anyway,
but I wonder if that's almost like the journey of Spike, right? Like the first time you see anything like that, you are going to be fucking terrified. Like even just seeing the original, not walkers. That's the wrong word. Infected.
I would be terrified after multiple times of seeing
100%. So like, I think the interesting thing is that this world has carried on regardless, and like he has to carry on regardless as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he has to keep growing, and I also love that they kind of worked into this. Growing on what you were saying, that they like the humans having short-term memory thing. Like, like you were talking about other cultures in different countries, like kind of getting on with it. I would have been really interested to have seen what's going on in those other countries. Like, have they just completely just like forgotten what's going on? Like you think about wars going on, the Syria war, for example. The news hasn't talked about that in how many months now because there's other wars taking over.
I think that's like not even up for debate. I think that's clearly what he's trying to say. I think he's clearly trying to make that point because it's like this guy. Yeah. You get that whole thing with the Swedish guy, and it's like, his indifference and his complete isolation to like what's happening there, and like lack of even
and his girlfriend with all the
like where like it's just to highlight life's going on. You know what I mean? Like and like nobody really cares, and like not a lot of empathy for this, like or even thought that this kid wouldn't understand all this, like because you haven't even like he hasn't even taken the time. This is his job, which is literally to monitor the quarantine. And he hasn't even taken the time to contextually think about like the people that might live there and how their life would be having not, having been born in this completely different world. He hasn't even taken that empathetic like thought. Yeah.
Yeah. He's almost like a yin to the yang of old mate Spike, like he's a little bit older, obviously in the for the context for this, there is a small group of external soldiers who come in to, I don't know, they get blown off course, I think they say at one point, their ship does, and Spike spends a bit of time with one of these Swedish soldiers, and the differences are complete polar opposites.
Yeah.
As in Spike has no idea what a phone is, and why would he? He's grown up in this society of, effectively I don't know, for what century would you place this in? I suppose they've got some things, don't they? They have some technologies and stuff, but like
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like it almost just be like the 20s.
Right.
But no electricity.
Well, right. It's super interesting. And it's just the difference between the two. But I really like how Alfred Williams plays that role. Like he was excellent at being a kid who is a Geordie, which I liked. I like they kept good accents, solid British accent going on, but like that POV is really interesting. Someone who was born and raised in a time within a time almost, which is super interesting.
Yeah.
They're incepting you.
They are. I really liked that component, and I liked the tonal shifts that you get to, and like the first half or the first third, the second third, and the like end are all very different, I'd say.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I give you that. What did you think? Did you think there was an underlying? I mean, it's not really underlying. It's pretty blunt, but like that. What did you think of the sort of theme of realizing that like your parents aren't infallible? You know what I mean? Like there's a big like spread of paste on top of this, which is that storyline about realizing that your parents aren't perfect and they can die. You know what I mean? Which is always hard for like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, it's a classic coming of age kind of trope, I think. So I thought it was good.
I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson plays that part well too.
I think he played. Yeah, I think I thought he was really good in this.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But I did also like that they kind of left him out of the second half of the film.
Yeah. I wonder where I wonder if they'll bring him back. Maybe not because of just where the movie's heading, given the end.
I don't know. It was originally. I mean, like they originally talked about it as a trilogy. So I wonder. I don't know if Boyle and Garland will come back. I hope they do. But like as a trilogy, I think it's already filmed. There's a lot of potential here. Really?
I think the what is it called? 28 years later, The Bone Temple, which has already been shot, is the next film in the series.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's cool as.
I kind of felt like that because like you wouldn't have that ending without having a clear idea of where you're going to take it, I think.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll talk about ending in just a hot minute. Yeah. What did you think of Aaron Taylor-Johnson then? Like, I know we talked about him, but like he was jaded, like he's conflicted, but he was still an asshole, right?
Yeah, and he clearly loves his kid, but he's just making really bad decisions.
Oh, so many bad decisions.
Where you're like this guy is kind of a loose cannon. Like it's almost like, do you have a death wish? A bit.
Yeah.
Like,
at the same time, though, there's a bit of like introspection on like what it is to be a dad or what it is to live in the male experience. You know what I mean? There's a bit of that in there too.
In the world that they're set in, especially like how do I equip my son 100%. to survive? Which I think is
definitely
why he is also relatable and likable enough in the film, because he's plenty of things he does that would make him unlikable.
Definitely.
But but he has that redeeming element for sure. That's his redeeming element. And it's like,
he's trying his best.
It's very clear that you'd need someone like him in this world. And so definitely. I think that has like its own little spin on the, like, is he an asshole? Yeah. But like, you kind of need, you're not gonna get, a nice little town set up with a bunch of philosophers in this world. So
100%, you got to get shit done. But I think it's a sort of, again, like a juxtaposition to him is the Jodie Comer character, Isla. So good in this. Like she's playing a part where it's a person who is having serious challenges and incredible mental illness going on as well. Really interestingly played, like fit well with the performance, like just beautiful.
Yeah, and you're empathetic that like they probably were a really great couple. You can just like, you don't actually get it from either of them in their time together, but you get it from the little bits of the personality of like who they used to be in their most like 100%. I guess in their best moments as both characters, like the best version of themselves. You're like, those two people's best version of themselves would have been an awesome couple, and they've clearly like had this great kid, and that doesn't happen just purely by happenstance usually. And so it's even more tragic, and you can kind of understand like how somebody like Aaron Taylor-Johnson could there's one of two ways could respond to that. He could rise He could rise to the occasion.
Rise in Taylor.
Or he could, deflate to a less potent version of himself.
Love that. I love that analogy.
I couldn't. I was trying not to laugh the whole time when I knew I was going with that. But anyway, so you get my point, right?
I love that. I mean, he certainly didn't rise.
He was cut by what happened.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
I like that. I like those characters together. They don't spend a lot of time on screen together. I like what you did there. My last question to you was, what do you think of Ralph Fiennes' character, Dr.
Awesome.
Kelson?
Favorite part of the movie.
Like, and you call that Apocalypse Now, big Apocalypse Now vibes. But like almost more sophisticated. He definitely had a bit of Voldemort in him when you first meet him. Super interesting. I had a question though about him, and I don't know if this is jumping into spoilers. So he covers himself in iodine, and he's like, "Oh, the infected don't like it." Do you think it's that, or do you think it's actually? Because I mean, when you see him putting it on, it kind of actually looks more like blood. I wonder if it's more like that World War Z trick, or he's covering himself in the blood of like the infected.
I think you're thinking too much.
Maybe.
I think he was pretty clear. Yeah, it's iodine.
Okay.
Like, because like, why would he lie about that? He was pretty truthful about everything.
Why
else.
not?
He was really cool, and you're right. He's not like a 1-for-1 with like Colonel Kurtz, I think is the name of the guy in Apocalypse Now, which is basically Marlon Brando rambling at the end.
Yes.
Yes. But it's more the concept
in darkness
of like going into the center of the heart of darkness of this like, dystopian situation, and what do you find? Like, if you invest it, like the existential, like, what's the word? Philosophical, like investigation of like, if you dive as deep as you can into what living and what society and what humanity is in this kind of world, where do you emerge? And like where he emerged is like one interesting, philosophical stance. I just found it really. Yeah. I love a good existential moment in a movie when it's played well, and like it requires really good writing, and it requires like really good acting to make it work. Like another character, like I don't think if you had another guy playing that role, it would have worked as well.
I mean, it wholly depends on the actor, but I know exactly what you mean, and you're right. Like it would have this would be very different in anyone else's hands.
Yeah, and it's like it's also the writer, and like another one like that is True Detective season 1. If you go listen to some of the lines that fucking McConaughey says, if anyone else was saying that line, you'd be like, "This is garbage." This is garbage. Like
what about Ralph Fiennes? Do you reckon he could pull it off?
Yeah, but it'd be his own take on it. But
it'd be Voldemort. Yeah, I get it.
No, like what is one of the like I don't dream. I don't sleep. I dream. Like shit like that. Where you're like, if somebody said that wasn't McConaughey, like it's a great line for him, but if somebody else said it, it'd be a disaster. It'd be a train wreck. Imagine Jeremy Renner saying that.
Fuck me.
Like
imagine who's the guy I hate? Who's the Scottish guy? He's in
Liam Neeson.
White House Down. Fucking what's his name?
Jared Butler.
Imagine Jared Butler trying to say that line. Christ alive. It'd be absolutely the worst. All right, let's scoot on then a little bit then. I know we've talked a lot about tones and themes, but like what are your top tones and themes for this?
Yeah, coming of age, I think
definitely.
Humanity kind of I guess like the idea that like distance allows like humanity to be cruel, like separation. I don't know why I'm not saying it well, but like the idea of like isolationism and all that. And then that death is but a journey. There's clearly something there with
the white shores roll back, as Gandalf says. Yeah, absolutely. I just had just adding to that, I had the same ones, but almost as well. Like again, humans that are real monsters. There's a ton of that in there as well. And and just the male experience. I genuinely found it really interesting that was explored as heavily as it was. It was super interesting to see a male not rising to the occasion, as I think you said it. It was really, really eloquently done, I would say. Do you have a 3 best and or 3 worst? I actually do not have a worst. I genuinely just really got on with this film.
I think my best would be what is the doctor's name? I'm blanking in the actual film.
Ray Fiennes?
Well, but his name is like Carmichael or something.
Oh, in the movie, sorry, Dr. Kelson.
Dr. Kelson.
Close.
What a name, Carmichael, huh? Have you ever met a Carmichael?
No.
Neither.
Have you?
But fucking now I wish I had.
It would be an experience.
It's up there with like Gideon.
What if there's a Gideon Carmichael?
Fuck, dude, I'm actually going to search that right now. Let's see if there is one.
See if anyone on Facebook, while you're doing that, for anyone who has listened to the podcast before, the reason we do 3 best and 3 worst is because we want to give you 3 reasons you might want to see this movie, pre-spoilers, and 3 reasons why you might not want to see this movie, to give you a little helping hand in making up your way. And like I say, I don't have any worsts for this one. While you search for Gideon Carmichaels on Facebook.
This got like, search
sad.
Gideon Carmichael. And the first thing came up was Gideon William Carmichael, an obituary.
Depressing as hell. Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, I think he's a war veteran.
Come on, man. Do you have any 3 best and 3 worst?
Yes. Sorry, I'm digressing.
Dr. Carmichael, obviously.
Dr. Carmichael, obviously. I really like what they did with the toning back the scope while toning up the nuance of the monsters and zombies. And I just think in general the acting was quite well done across all people.
Very nice.
And especially the child. The child.
All right. Well, now I know a lot about you. Trey wants more children.
That's not
maybe
what I said.
pizza in there as well, perhaps.
Good acting. Children.
Yeah, good. I like that. Okay, I just have 3 best, which are the evolution of the world. Really like that about this, the fact that they kind of pulled it back almost, but still evolved it. Fabulous. Boyle and Garland together, they just make sweet, sweet movie babies. It's just a thing. I don't know whether it's the existentialism of Boyle and Garland's like really like dry take on the world, or both having both of those things. It just works. And then finally, the subtlety in the horror. I thought the horror was done fabulously. I had 0 complaints about it. It used jump scares in an effective way. I don't like jump scares, not because they scare me, but I just find them dull. I think it's like the lowest common denominator of horror, whereas this used them effectively. And I thought for the most part, the bad guys were pretty scary, except for when the alphas got a bit not so scary towards the end. Did you have any worst at all?
Worst. No, there was literally nothing
0
bad.
worsts.
There was nothing bad about this movie.
Good film.
Can't think of anything.
Really solid. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do a quick scope on what the critics are currently saying. Can you guess for me the current IMDb score for this?
I would hope it's like an 8.4.
Okay.
It's high for IMDb.
It's a 7.3 right now.
That's shit. IMDb shut the fuck up.
I struggle with, because that's
just means there's too many people that like the second film watching and reviewing this.
Yeah.
Go watch a dumb zombie movie, Go watch Resident Evil.
Go watch something shitty. Well, here's one for you then. What do you think the current Rotten Tomatoes score is?
That'd be like 96.
Ooh, it's 90, which is pretty good, let's be frank. I feel like anything over 90 is really solid on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is, but it should be higher.
Well, then finally, I'll ask you then what the Letterboxd is, which is always 3.6, but never 3.6.
I guess I would say it is 3.9 at the rate that we're going with these other ones.
Ooh, it's 3.7. I feel like they're pretty average scores over IMDb and Letterboxd. So I wonder if it's people who maybe haven't seen the originals or didn't appreciate the originals, perhaps. And then I guess finally I got to ask you the real question, which is quite simply, is this better or worse than the most average movie we know? Which is an obvious yes, but is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
It is clearly better.
It's better. I agree.
Really better.
Fabulous movie. So, do a little bit of spoilers.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've kind of already done it all, minus the ending. There's a couple things.
There's a few little bits in there. There's a few little bits.
The mom.
The mom having cancer, we've already touched on that. One thing that I did like about this is the kid went through all the stages of life. He got drunk, he went on a mushroom trip, and then he killed a bunch of things, which is like
witness the
the
birth.
true American experience.
How have we not talked about that? I would be so far away, dude. I would be like,
tell me about it.
There's no. I was with the Swedish kid. I was like, fucking
tell me about it.
Murker. Like, there's no scenario where I am patient there.
Take a step back, DL. Explain what's happening here.
Randomly halfway through the movie, we just see a pregnant zom. And you're like,
just out of nowhere.
It's kind of weird. Okay. Like, it's just like, it just like cuts to them like trying to bathe. Like, I don't even.
Just in a river.
Splashing in a river, a bunch of them, and one of them is pregnant.
Yeah.
And they've obviously been like, I mean, there's so many subtle or not so subtle hints that they were like trying to make that like kind of sexualize these zoms, like the big alphas with their big flopping dick everywhere.
Massive
because they're just running all the time and their dicks are just flying everywhere. And you just get this like one zom that looks like a little bit more like, I guess like full, not as like dead, like big old boobs, big pregnant belly. You're like, okay, that was really random.
Yeah. And how could it have been pregnant for 28 years?
Yeah.
It definitely wouldn't have been.
So in hindsight, it was like kind of like foreshadowing, I think, just subtly, that this was going to happen. And then you just randomly...
Not even subtle.
I think it's pretty... All they showed was a big dick and a big pregnant belly. There was no other context. And they were pretty far away from each other.
I had two questions about this pregnant infected person. One is like, do you think it was a person who was pregnant who got infected, or do you think it's an infected person who got pregnant?
I think it's pretty clearly. It's pretty clearly the alpha fucking.
See, that's what I thought too, but like, that's not the point of these creatures? They're rage creatures. They're not lust. They're rage, and I get it. They've evolved.
Yeah.
But even the alpha is just full rage. So that was weird. So
passionate
long story
rage.
Short.
Can have some passion.
That's perhaps. So the story boils down to pre and post Aaron Taylor Johnson. Taylor Johnson goes on a journey with his son, giving him his first kill, getting him to be a man. And then Taylor Johnson's son Spike sees, Taylor Johnson in.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this.
Not his mom. And
which is a big
so Spike,
driver of the plot, to be fair. Yeah.
100%. Spike decides to take it on on himself, to take his mother out to find a quotation marks real doctor who is who the whole village are scared of and will not go anywhere near, who is Ray Fiennes' character,
because they saw him burning a bunch of bodies like 10 years ago or some shit,
which they all think he's crazy, which is a big drive of the
to
movie.
Me was like, the second half
of the
makes
film,
sense, dude. Why wouldn't you want to burn
I would be the same. I would 100% out of there. So like the second half of the film is Spike and his mom now going off to find said doctor, and it's that coming of age tale, and his mom is deteriorating really nicely. Really nice, interesting, intimate story, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which leads to the pregnancy. Okay. The pregnancy?
When they're on this like journey to go find the doctor, they run into a pregnant zom, and the mom has what I can only describe as a really, really fucking stupid idea to go help the zombie give birth. But it is this cool human moment where like I can see what he's trying to do. It's like, no matter what your difference is, there's certain moments where we need to come together kind of thing. I would qualify flesh-eating zombie as the exception to that rule. But
I'm gonna throw my hand up here. There's a third option, right, that we didn't touch on. There is also the idea of like she could have been like infected when she was already pregnant. She could have been impregnated by the giant dog.
Stop! Don't do this. Don't do it.
She could have been impregnated by a regular dude. Like, who is doing that?
The doctor's son.
You never know. You never know. He seems pretty chill with them and knows how to calm them down.
No, so you're just saying he's morphine date raping a bunch of fucking.
Jeez,
you had to go there, dude. You had to go there.
Always. So talk me through about when he finally meets the Doctor, because Spike makes it, and it's a beautiful, like I mentioned, Stand By Me style journey where he's realizing a lot about himself, about his mom, about his dad, about the world in general, and they finally find the Doctor, and some hard truths come home.
The coming of age tale of like death, it's the first time you see death. So you basically he gets drugged, doesn't he? They give him some morphine, I think, or something. I don't know what they gave him.
So because he was freaking out.
Yeah, he was having a bit of an anxiety attack about his mom dying, and you basically get this really existential, like, I don't know, 15, 20-minute bit of like, embracing death as a part of the journey, and the
euthanasia,
the cinematography kind of all goes weird as well, kind of existential, and you see
he's on a trip, baby.
The Doctor essentially euthanize his mom because her cancer can't be fixed, and you see Spike look at what could be seen as like a deadly symbol of like the bone temple, which we get in the trailer, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And it's actually quite the opposite.
Totally. Also the name of the alpha sex tape, the Bone Temple. It is interesting that they're like, we haven't talked about the zombies as like a force of action, or in terms of like their aggression really at all, which I find really interesting, being that this is like a quotation mark zombie movie, which is supposed to be about them being, there are action scenes in this, but like it's not the core point of the film or any of the drivers, which I find super interesting.
Same. Yeah. They
add just the best type of storytelling.
They add to the lore though in like interesting ways, and they
100%.
humanize them in interesting ways, but not enough where I'm like, I wouldn't fucking kill it. Like clearly I would,
Yeah, 100%. If one of those fat boys was rolling towards me, I'd put an arrow right through that
fat
fucker's
Buddhas.
Neck. Ugh, they were scary. They were actually the scariest part of the film. They were just creepy as hell. The bit where it was like,
I think the skinny ones are way worse. Because those are what's gonna kill you,
I think that dong's gonna kill you on the big alpha.
But they're not like subtle though. The alphas are just so loud. You're like, okay, I know you're coming.
That's fair. That's fair. You can hear them a fucking mile away. Yeah. I did like the scene where the alpha was chasing them chasing both Jamie and Spike across the little platform between the island and the mainland.
Yeah, the tone was super weird in that, because it was like really like beautiful, like night sky. I was like, what's going on here?
Totally. I really like the ending for this as well. So they keep they take the baby with them because the baby isn't infected from the infected mother, and basically Spike takes it back to the village. I don't know how he got all the way back. Deus Ex Machina taking it back to the village and not encountering any zombies, and then goes off on his own journey, which I found I really liked that as the ending, where it was just him going away. But then you get the almost like a post-credit scene, but it's obviously part of the movie, where he bumps into a character from the very beginning of the film.
We didn't even talk about it. The prologue is like...
It's not even like part of the film. It's just so random. It's like it bookends the film in two really random ways.
But do you know what this is alluding to?
No, I don't. What's it alluding to?
So it's alluding to basically... who's that guy? That BBC... Jimmy Savile.
Oh,
it's implying that this guy is Jimmy Savile.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like, and I didn't get it because I'm not from...
Oh, I get that.
London.
If you're British, you'll know all about that.
No, I mean, I know who he is, but I didn't realize that but apparently it's like quite clear. This gang is called the Jimmies, and it's like implying that this happens before, all the uproar or whatever happens before he died. So they're implying that this guy is like involved, like kind of like that guy, and is a representation of him. And so kind of concerning for our boy Alfie.
Big time.
if he
that is fucked along up with if this
that's
game. The case. That's
for this game.
Wow. Okay. All right. So if you don't know about Jimmy Savile, Google it. But be careful. There's some stuff in there that's quite triggering. Let's say it's not a nice story. But yeah, that's super fucking interesting. I did not know that. He basically encounters a gang of, youths
called the Jimmies,
a little bit older than him, called the Jimmies, who are very, let's say, competent at taking out the infected, which is a weird way to bookend the film. But like, I didn't mind it.
it turned into like, it's not even like weird. It's like so tonally divergent that you're like, okay, the next film is going to be a very different film. Like he's obviously setting up something.
I wonder,
because it just turns into like a ninja parkour fucking gym studio.
Little Spike cannot get out of that situation. I can tell you that right now.
No, I agree.
Do you want to do a little bit of trivia, true or false to wrap it up?
Sure.
Nice. So, trivia, true, trivia, false, DL. Originally, the follow-up was set to be titled 28 months later, continuing with the movie's timeline motif. However, after so much time had passed between 2007's 28 weeks later, and now it was deemed just appropriate to change it to 28 years later. Is that true or is that false?
You can't tell me that no one presented that idea in a meeting, so that is true. Somebody in Hollywood definitely did.
Apparently, the rights were caught up with Sony for a long time, so they just couldn't do it. And obviously, Garland and Boyle had fallen out, so they weren't going to work on it. So, yeah, super interesting. They would get asked about it periodically every year or so, and just be like, "I don't fucking know." So, yeah. Okay, trivia, true, trivia, false. The film was preliminary. Let's try this again. Film was primarily shot using iPhone 15 Pro Maxes. Is that true or is that false?
It's true. You already gave me that little hint.
I didn't say Pro Maxes though, but yeah, you're right. I did. It makes it the biggest feature-length film shot on a smartphone, which I find super fascinating because like it really adds to the film. Writer Alex Garland, DL, is this true or is this false? Pushed to have Cillian Murphy's Jim from 28 Days Later return in the film. Obviously, he survived the first film. However, scheduling conflicts prevented him from doing so. Is that true or is that false?
Well, you might be doing a trickster because I know he's in the next one now. True.
I made that one up. There were talks about Cillian Murphy and whether he'd be in the film. There was nothing ever concrete about that. But you fell into my trap. Thank you so much for that. I am the best. Okay. Finally, Ralph Fiennes and Aaron Taylor Johnson. This is their first collaboration since The King's Man in 2021. Is that true or is that false?
Sure, true.
Yeah, there was a lot of trivia about this film. I was sad. I was like, there's to be more trivia about good trivia about this film.
I mean, the Jack O'Connell stuff, the Jimmy stuff could have been good.
I did not know about that. If that was there, I would have absolutely. But you knew it anyway. You told me. You got me with that
but I wouldn't have known. You didn't know. I didn't know. The cool part about that is like there's hints about it all over the movie, like written into the walls. Okay. His name is carved into the dead guy. Like
it is. Yeah.
Apparently,
there's a bit where you see like a whole building that has like a whole. It's almost like some Bible something written on the side of it, and someone has just put Jimmy next to it. I was like, I wonder what that fucking means. So they must be Roman.
28 years later, the Bone Temple will be released on January 16th, 2026.
God damn, that's soon.
Yeah. Do you want to know more, or do you not want to be spoiled?
And I don't. And is it just the alphas just having sex all the time?
The name would indicate.
Bone Temple.
The name would indicate.
Or maybe it's the Jimmys having sex all the time. No! No, DL!
You prefer the alphas?
Ultimately,
what's wrong with you?
Ultimately, I had a great time with this, and I'm not gonna go into that with you right now. I had a great time with this. This is probably one of my favorite horror movies for a little while. I had a wonderful time. Great coming back to this world. Love Boyle. Love Garland. In fact, Garland's quickly becoming one of my favorite directors, man.
Yeah,
directors, writers.
Yeah,
he has got some cinematography. He's got some filmography.
Yeah,
love that guy. Do you want to wrap up the show?
Yeah. For
don't know why I said it like that.
For those of you that stuck around this long, thank you. You can give us a 5-star review. It'd be nice because you stayed this long.
We'd love that. Thank you guys.
It's literally just like 2 taps right now. 2 taps and subscribe. You never say subscribe.
You're right there already. You're about to close your app.
You should follow and subscribe. A big thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode. If you'd like Matt,
I'm doing it.
To be part of your podcasting team, get in touch on business@mbpod.com or head to mbpod.com to find out more about his services.
How about this? Listen to our last week's episode and how good it sounded. Then listen to this week's episode and listen to how average it sounded. And you'll know how much Matt contributes. He is the rock of this podcast. He keeps this shit going.
That's the delta.
Exactly.
Delta.
Thank you, Matt.
If you want to hear his work, listen to Copy of the Podcaster.
Podcaster.
Short thoughts.
It's happening.
On topics. I'm stroking out. Podcasting shared over a cup of coffee, which I need more of. Yeah, I think that's all we got this week.
Yeah, if you know anyone who would like to hear us ramble about movies and stuff, please pass it on. We are working on some new stuff in the background, as we've promised for many weeks. That will come very soon.
I would also
Guys,
argue...
if you want to get in contact with us, you can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com.
I would also argue that like you should go see this movie in the theater, because I went.
I 100% agree.
And there was no one there. It was probably 15 to 20% filled in the big theater.
Interesting.
Which is sad. And yours looked pretty empty as well.
Interesting. I looked at the showing after the one, because mine was actually it was about 4 p.m, so it was kind of still work time. The one after mine was at 6:30 was
packed.
About, I would say, 80%.
That's good.
Booked. So I'm hoping this does well enough to carry on, because it's so fucking good, man. So good. Go see it. Tell us what you think on Instagram. We'd love it if you did. And we're on TikTok as well, apparently. So good. Thank you everyone for sticking with it. We really appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Tally ho, baby.
Tally ho.